Hello, and welcome to As Built, the podcast from Graphic Machine about architecture firms, buildings, and how both get built. I'm your co-host, Patience Jones. With me is
Brian Jones.
Thank you for joining us. In today's episode, we are asking the question, are you getting in your own way?
Probably.
That concludes our episode. Thank you for listening. It does not really conclude our episode. So what do we mean by getting in your own way? So when I think about what this looks like, I think anytime, and I'm just going to use myself, anytime I'm doing something that prevents me from achieving the things that I say I want to achieve, I am getting in my own way.
For me, like it's an example would be like, let's say I decide that I want to, have a more robust social media presence for myself, as an example. And I'm not, but then I don't do the steps in order to make that happen. And I'm the person that's responsible for making that happen, then I'm in my own way a little bit. But
And I think it's an additional layer because I think there's a difference between not doing the things you need to do to achieve your goals
Mhm.
and creating obstacles for yourself to keep you from achieving your goals. Those are
Absolutely.
two different things. And
Yeah.
so the second thing is really what we're talking about today, which is the getting in your own way. So in the social example, if you were to say, okay, I want to post more and I want to get more social out, but first I think I probably need to convert everything to a different posting system. And I need to learn how to do that and get certified in that before I can do this other thing. And there's no real reason for you to do that, then you are getting in your own way. Or if you say, well, I can't do that until I hire somebody to size images for me. And so now I have to go and find people that, it's,
Becomes a Russian nesting doll situation where you keep going and keep going and it never ends and you never achieve the goal you set out to.
yeah. So why do you think people do that? I say people like I don't do it, but I'm just going to
I mean,
pretend that I don't do it.
I think at some level, everybody, has the potential to get in their own way for sure. And I think that it largely has to do with your comfort in the thing that you're trying to achieve and how
Yeah.
confident you are in being able to achieve that thing. But I, I think that the reason is that beyond the confidence is that you want to be certain about process from where you are to where you want to be. And I think that can often keep you from doing the thing.
I think that's a really good point. I think another prong of that is that you believe yourself to be certain that a particular process has to be followed or a particular tool has to be used. And if that process can't be followed or that tool can't be used, then it stops you from doing this thing. So like this is an example that I don't think anybody's going through, but it illustrates the point. Let's say your office is converting from Microsoft to Mac and you decide that you're not going to do that. You are so certain that Microsoft is the only way to do anything. You're not going to do it. Now you have to have IT has to install all these different applications on your system because you refuse to convert. You can't open anything anybody sends you. That's an example of getting in your own way because you you are far too steadfast in your belief about what's right.
And this plays out too in a larger sense in an organization where people become these roadblocks. And that is for sure, when you're trying to make progress as an organization, sometimes there's a person that becomes this roadblock to you moving ahead. And the point of this conversation today is really the idea of like if you recognizing that moment when you might be that person in this larger effort. If you're the reason that things don't move forward, that piece of the project doesn't get done, you're throwing up additional concerns and roadblocks because for whatever reason you just don't want to get to the finish line on this particular item.
And the not wanting to get to the finish line that's a deep and hard thing to overcome and oftentimes something that we don't realize that that's really what we're afraid of. And we can be afraid of it for all different kinds of reasons like, well, what will I do next and how will I be judged? And, you know, pick one. But acknowledging that on some level and saying like, okay, once this thing is done or this thing finishes, it's going to be fine. It'll be whatever it is, and some people will like it, some people might not, but I need to do it because it's for the good of the firm, or I need to do it because everybody who works underneath me is chomping at the bit because this thing can't go out because I'm sitting on it, or I'm insisting that it be redone using, a different typeface because I can't read anything that's not in Helvetica, like, which actually has happened. Yes, that is a true story. Um, and it's demoralizing to everybody that's involved.
I mean, I think that the the way to look at it is that when you see a task ahead of you, uh, and to kind of recognize the signs that you might be having this issue at hand, is to say, every time that particular topic comes up, do I immediately go to an
Mm,
objection? Do I immediately go to no, or I don't want to, or
that's a really good point.
and that's acknowledging that to a degree is really helpful because that means that your mindset is already, it's digging its heels in. And so
Yeah,
it can be difficult for anyone to convince you otherwise until you say that you are going to be convinced otherwise.
that's a really good point. And look at your inbox, both your email inbox and whatever your incoming items to review are. If you're still needing to review things from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, you're in your own way. There's something not right with the process that's in place. And maybe that is that you're just totally overworked and you need to hire somebody or delegate tasks or something. It could also be that your your desires in one realm are in conflict with the goal of getting things out and done.
And, at the end of the day, it's still a roadblock. And, the goal is if you set out and you really do want the thing that you profess to want at the goal at the end of this thing, then going through the steps, as arduous as they might be, are necessary. But it's okay to also acknowledge that maybe things change as you go so that you um, refocus your goals if they no longer serve what you need them to serve. And I think that that can be it's why acknowledging this getting in your own way is so important because it can lead you to either getting the thing done that you set out to do or understanding that the thing you set out to do is no longer the thing that you need to do. And both are equally important and can it can be freeing.
And it can be really easy to convince yourself that what you're doing is like heightened quality control, that you have to be doing all of these extra steps and putting up all these extra roadblocks because it yields a better product, because it keeps you, you know, legally compliant, whatever the thing is. So I would challenge you to really look at that and say, okay, is my review of this entire project from top to bottom, from scratch, every detail, every single time anybody touches it, is that it is that really helping? Is that really ensuring that no mistakes get made, or is it just ensuring that it never goes out the door?
Yeah. It's really that can be a fine line to walk sometimes because as you mentioned, quality control is very important. But yeah, it's definitely something to note. What do you think the big takeaways are from this piece?
The importance, although uncomfortable, of taking a long, hard look at how am I getting in the way of what I say I want?
Mm.
And if I'm repeatedly getting in the way of what I say I want, then either I don't really want that thing and I need to figure out what it is that I want, or I need to figure out a way to not keep getting in the way of that. And that could be relinquishing some control. It could be enlisting others to help you. It could be shifting responsibilities. It could be setting an amount of time. It could be committing to do something the way that somebody else suggests, unless and until you run into a point, and then you can switch the systems or the tools or whatever.
I think the only thing I would add to that is whenever to look for the signs of these things where, to your point, if something's been sitting in your email box for weeks and weeks and weeks and you haven't gotten to it, um, maybe asking the question of why is that, and kind of letting things unfold a little bit from there.
I like that. Well, thank you for letting us get in your way this week with this episode. We will see you next week.